and gentlemen, and welcome to the Crusader Coaches Show here on Country 93.1. My name is Matt Chapkus, and I am joined right now by the head coach of Muskegon Catholic Central, Steve Zerwan, and we are over at Pints and Courts Pub and Grill doing a live show here every week. Yeah. And, Coach, we'll get into last week and this upcoming week here a little bit, but first of all, I just want to thank you for having the flexibility and the willingness to come out and do a show like this with us.
No, this kind of came together at the last minute, but, we really appreciate what you guys do for high school football, what you do for Muskegon Catholic, and, just promoting high school football around the area. It's a wonderful thing.
We love doing it as well, and if you want to watch this, you can watch it on DSE TV tomorrow night as well. For everybody that's listening in at home, if you want to see Steve's lovely face, it'll be on TV tomorrow night. Coach, let's talk a little bit. Let's get right into it on the Mona Shores game. We'll go back. I know you don't like going back. Probably you're focused on next week. But the first half of that game, it looked like everything that could go right pretty much was going right for you other than one turnover in that first half.
Yeah, that's a good way to summarize it. We knew, part of the game plan going in was that we knew we had to control the ball. We knew they had some people that could score. We knew they had some people that could score on, very, very quickly in one or two plays. And, we wanted to keep possessing the ball and hang on to the ball and be kind of methodical, almost boring, going up and down the field. And, that kind of happened for us. Our defense played well, got us in some 3-and-out situations. And, we weren't getting huge yards, but we were getting, 3-4 yards, putting us in 3rd and short. And, it worked out good, having the lead at halftime up by 9. And, we felt good about that. And, second half was a little bit of a different story.
Well, let's talk about that second half. Obviously, the team got shut out offensively, but Mona Shores seemed to be a little bit fresher because, let's face it, they were playing about 2 guys both ways while you were playing 10 both ways quite a bit. And it was a hot, steamy evening. I'm not making excuses for the team, but that played a factor. I mean, we had a lot of guys going down with cramps, and they had 2 guys, and I think one of their 2 that was going both ways went down with cramps halfway through the game as well. So heat was a factor in that second half. And they were able to just hit some holes with that speed that they have.
Yeah, it was, I think definitely fatigue was a factor for us. Again, it's not an excuse, but it was a reality that it was it definitely slowed us down a little bit in the second half. We ended up missing some tackles in the second half that you think you normally, would make. And maybe fatigue plays a role in that. They happened to call the right plays, and, we got, that's such a tough offense to face when they're throwing – bubble screen one side, one play, then throwing bubble screen the other side the next play, and you're just chasing. And, with 9 guys on the field the whole time, it got to be hard for our guys given the weather conditions. So, we thought we had a good plan in the first half. I thought they had an excellent plan too. They knew if they could tire us out a little bit, they would be at an advantage, and it definitely worked for them.
Now talk about some of the things that you saw out of your team. Obviously, the second half kind of was a different game for you, but especially in that first half, what were some of the positive things that you took away from that game?
Well, I think we come off the ball pretty good in the offensive line. I don't know. I think that's the first thing when any coach watches film, how's the offensive line versus their defensive line matchup and vice versa. You want to know how you match up front. And, I thought we did a very good job up front offensively and defensively going against a larger Class A team. So I think that bodes well for us going forward when we get to play, maybe a few more smaller schools. We know we can block, and I don't think we've ever questioned that we have the backs that can hit the holes and make yards as long as the line opens things up. So, I think some ways that's a tribute to, kind of the off-season weightlifting that some of our guys have done. Michael Coy, Jaden McPherson, Nate Jones, just to name a few. They've worked very, very hard in the off-season, and I think it pays off. It has paid off. And I think it's going to pay off going forward here this season.
Okay. Now, coming out of that game, one other thing that struck me is we saw Griffin Seymour. We had talked about him before. He actually hit a field goal for you guys in that game. When you got a kid now that you've sent out there, he's hit one in a pressure situation, does that affect the way you're coaching on third down at all in certain plays when you're down in the red zone?
Yeah, we know we can hit some field goals. I mean, we knew that with what kind of leg Griffin have. We didn't care for the ball he kicked the ball out of bounds, I think, once on a kickoff, and I don't think that was that's definitely not what we wanted to, the way we started the second half. I just think back last year to the Fruitport game. Mm-hmm. We hit a field goal with 3 seconds left, the game's over, and we don't go into overtime, we end up losing. So, Griffin gives us a little bit more confidence in our kicking game than maybe we've had, in past. But then again, we had his brother kicking for us a few years ago, who was who was equally as good. So,
absolutely.
I don't think you're afraid to call a field goal with Griffin, anywhere from the 15-yard line going in, especially in a game is going to be tight. Those 3 points can make a difference.
And they looked like they were in the first half of that game last week against Mona Shores. Now let's talk, just give me a couple names of a couple players that stood out for you. I don't know if you still give out a game ball even though you lose a game, but some of the players whose efforts stood out. Obviously, when you got guys like Alex Lewandowski and Nicholas Holt, those two guys won our 2 honors after the game for the player of the game and the scrapyard dog. You can almost count on those guys week in and week out.
Yeah, I mean, with Alex Lewandowski, you mentioned, we're asking him to do a lot of things. We're asking him to play safety on defense. We're asking him to come down and play an outside linebacker spot, sometimes in different sets. We're asking him to play halfback. We're asking him to play fullback. I mean, we're moving him around the field just because you're trying to utilize somebody who's as talented as Alex. You're trying to utilize all of his abilities. I thought Tommy Scott played a real good game. He lined up as our eye back when we were in the eye. And we were just kind of waiting for him to come through the other side on some of those ISOs and powers, and it never happened for him. But I think, Tommy's going to break a number of runs this year, and we feel really good with him being the eye back in one of our sets. And I just thought up front, the way we were so concerned with Mona Shores with their ability to throw the ball, we kind of put 5 guys in the box against their 5 guys. There are 5 offensive linemen. And we expected Jake Holt, Michael Coy, Jaden McPherson, Nate Jones, and Lamar Jordan to stop the run. And they, for the most part, did that. And, we were, when you got, 5 guys just against 5 guys, and they shut down the run for the most part, I thought we did a very good job interiorly stopping the run. It's when you get in the perimeter where they gave us a little more trouble, and that's definitely a testament to the speed that Mona Shores had on their roster.
They certainly had the ability to get out in the open field and take advantage of it on a couple of occasions. Let's take a 3-minute break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about Grand Rapids Catholic Central and a battle of the Catholic Centrals. 2 teams looking for their first win coming up Friday night here on Country 93.1. We'll take a break and be back with more here on Country 93.1.